Weird science
is the revolution.
The Sentry number 2. This is a rough book. This is weird. I love the idea that we're getting ready. You know, I have a checklist. Hey, who do I do the books with? So I'm like, oh, Sentry. Oh, man, me and Gray didn't like that first issue. And I said, you know, I'm like, okay, we're doing this, this, and this. And you're like, I don't think I did Sentry that first issue. I'm like, yeah, you did. And you're like, I don't think I did. I don't remember anything from it.
Completely.
I'm like, oh, no, we did it. We didn't like it, but we did it. And this book is it's a mess. It's in 2 issues. I don't know how or what. Like we just said, the idea of having Blade feels like there's too many fingers in the pie here, right? There's too many cooks in the kitchen. This needs more. This needs to bake a little longer because I don't know what this story is even trying to do. Setting up a new Sentry, but in a way that is so far removed to let anybody know what Sentry's about or anything. It's just...
I've just remembered, Jim, the last issue, it had Farhad with the nose, the mutant. Is that right? Yeah, it's that
remember
one, right? Oh.
His crazy feet? The big feet deal? Remember?
His legs, yeah.
At one point they say, like, oh, he must have come this way because I see his big feet prints. And nothing's set up to remind you what happened. Oh, it's bad, but... It is Sentry number 2. It's bad in a way that I think we could have some fun with, but Jason Liu writing, Luigi Zagaria with David Cutler on art, and the art does feel a little different. Arthur Hesley on colors, DC's Joe Caramagna on letters. I'm gonna read the recap because I think we all have to be reminded. Idea. So it's when 2 seemingly unrelated explosions pointed to the possible return of the Sentry, Misty Knight and Jessica Jones teamed up to investigate. What they found was not Bob Reynolds, the original Sentry, I'll put an aside here of what most people want, but 2 apparent inheritors of his powers, Mallory Gibbs, a disabled journalist from New York City, and Ryan Topper, a teenager from Ohio. But while Misty and Jessica race to find the 2 new Sentries and any others like them, Ryan has a different, deadlier plan in mind. So the big play is that Ryan Topper, he ends up in the powers seemingly just went out, and when people were in stress, they would see a big scene from back in the day, Sentry Bob Reynolds, and then they'd inherit the powers. But they're going all over the place, like you could have a Sentry family type deal, almost like the Shazamily, something like that. But it's not quite like that.
We still have no idea why, have we? We've no idea why this is happening.
We have no idea.
Okay, yeah.
Force it in where Jason Liu has them say, and I'm talking Jessica and Misty, and yeah, it's not like Thor's hammer. It's not picking who's worthy. They just seem to happen, and unfortunately, there's some bad people in the world. A lot of them in Ohio, right? I hear that. So you end up where this Ryan Topper, he's a teenager as well. He's a hothead. He wants all the power to himself. He seems like what you're setting up. He's an ultra fanboy of the Avengers, and he knows that Sentry was the coolest, biggest, baddest on the event. So he thinks if he gets all the powers, obviously by the cliffhanger, he'll be able to be accepted as a member of the Avengers. That's why you even have the covers. So you have all that by Juan Ferreira, who I love. But you have all that going on, but you're not setting up these characters. You have Jason Liu think that we know these characters because they were just pushed at us in one issue, but we don't. And I think the better play would have been, screw this whole family Sentry stuff. Just have the power somehow get to this Ryan Topper is not a great kid, and deal with that and see what it does mean to get that with having great power but no responsibility, having an idea of a kid who's a little off, getting him, but it gets so convoluted. That sounds better
than what we're getting already to me, Jim, just what you said.
Are you with me that you end up having our point of view characters are Jessica Jones and Misty Knight, who I love both of them. They don't know anything of what's going on. I mean, they are just walking around, and because of that, Jason Liu kind of has it fudged where they just end up at places to find the next little clue, but you don't see any work being done.
You don't. They're trying to do a True Detective, aren't they? They're just like randomly going to past scenes.
But they randomly go, and then when they randomly get to a scene to get that little clue that's forced in, they go back to not knowing anything and just staring at a wall, wondering, oh my God, what's going on? Because there's no way they could know what's going on. It doesn't make any sense. So you end up starting this up then, and there you go. You have Jessica and Misty, and they're collecting clues. Hey, that whole, that app eats guy, Farad, like, hey, do you know anything about him? And even that, they seem to grab a random bike messenger and say, hey, you were at that whole dodgeball game. Remember the stupid dodgeball game? Well, hey, what about this guy? Should just say, I don't know anything about him. We just play dodgeball. He's going on and on. He knows things, but doesn't. Then it all pushes to, he must be a mutant. We want to get away from him. He must be a mutant. Go to the next guy. This dodgeball being the linchpin of the investigation is hilarious. But so the guy, we don't want any parts of him. I got to protect my family. He's dangerous. He's a mutant. All right, we didn't learn anything. We learned nothing. So they go off then to Pennsylvania. And any time in a Marvel book you go to Pennsylvania, you know, crap has hit the fan. I'll just tell you.
Something's going down, Jim. Yeah, something's going down.
Right? At least this is in York, Pennsylvania. But you end up where, you know, they land and they're scanning things. And, okay, looks like there was a big explosion. Looks like, and this is where that crazy, like, we're meeting him where Farhad, he gets killed. But they're not finding out anything because you have to wait for this big mystery, but it's just weird.
We find like 2 sets of footprints, it says, and blast marks. And Misty goes, oh, the big round prints are definitely Farhad's feet. It's like, how does she know that?
I know. And when you have that too, the big play is, are you saying he's a mutant, which kind of is with the big feet, or because he had the Sentry, but he was dead. We saw it. And that's what this, you know, Ryan Topper's doing. He's killing people to get their powers. But in the meantime, we have the cerebral palsy click clock girl, and that's their deal. Mallory, she's, you know, in a fetal position on the moon. I mean, it kind of gets a little silly here, but she's there on the moon. She's like, oh my God, I destroyed my apartment. I hurt people. And Ryan shows up, and it's the weirdest scene to have them just talking on the moon about, hey, you're pretty cute. Oh, thanks. Like, do I know you? Do you ever visit New York? A couple times, but man, looks like you have some powers. Where's your wheelchair? Oh, it got destroyed. All right, well, I'm going to get going. Like, this is the one person he's not going to kill because he seems to be the character that they want to push. And in my mind, it's weird that it seems like this girl, Mallory, might end up being the Sentry. And I don't know that people go for that, but
I thought he doesn't want to kill her because he says, actually, you look pretty cute.
Yeah, it's weird. I guess Farhad with his huge face and feet wasn't so cute, right?
Didn't do it for him, Jim, no. His big feet didn't work.
So he says, your powers will keep you alive here on the moon. But you're going to sit here and just, you know, wallow in misery and probably die eventually. So, all right, I'm going to go back to Earth. I got things to do.
So he doesn't steal her powers, which is weird, isn't it? What we got so far is this guy taking anyone else out who's got these powers. But yeah, as you say, he sees her dwindling away. She's using all her power to stay alive.
To stay alive. And they're talking in space. And again, so we go back to Times Square, New York City, and another new character. All of a sudden, we're there. And we get, you know, mind-freaking street magician Marv, who is playing the old, you know, it's pretty much the 3-card Monty play of, hey, I'm going to pick a card out of a thing, and I'm going to do this, but the guy who has the card ends up being his new date that he found on a dating app, and they're in cahoots, but they don't know each other, and then he ends up where some guy ran. You think that it's this Ryan Topper who comes out, but it's just some guy comes out with a gun, and then he shoots him. But then you see that this guy doesn't die.
Where does he come from? Is he completely random, isn't he? Yeah?
It seems, or it's him trying to do this. I don't know. Yeah, because he does say, you want to see me catch a bullet, but it's not that. Then this guy, because as he's getting shot, he sees a vision of Sentry. He gets the Sentry powers. Then people are yelling, you're a mutant. It's all over the place. It makes no sense. Then this guy flies off, and here's the thing now I realize. The guy who did shoot him, it was Ryan. But why would he know that this guy would be the next guy? Because this gunman runs into the alley and then turns into Ryan Sentry.
Is that meant to be Ryan? No way.
Yeah,
I didn't even realize.
No, actually, it's not. He runs, now I see it. He runs in to chase this guy, this rando, who's just going to kill Chris Angel.
Oh, that's right.
Here,
yeah. Ryan comes in to get them both,
and he blasts them.
Later on. Yeah.
Why did this guy want to shoot him?
But why does he look like Ryan?
Was he ripped his off? Brother? Yeah, what's going on?
It's a series of random events, Jim. A series of random scenes, it feels like.
Oh, my God. It's definitely a series of very unfortunate
It's making you angry.
events.
You're losing your voice, Jim.
I am losing it now, and it's early.
Have some coffee.
Ryan shows up then and like, hey, this guy's nude too, Marv. And the other play in my mind that doesn't work is Marv, when he's doing street magic, he's got a hat on. Once the hat comes off, you don't even recognize him as being the guy before. Then you have this gunman who just randomly shows up. Maybe you could have had a jilted lover or even a guy who you took all my money with your tricks.
Yeah, that would be more interesting. Yeah.
Then they even play, like, this guy was like on America's Got Talent. Like, everything is just thrown in a pile of garbage. Because then Ryan comes in. Hey, I think I want your powers there. My name's Ryan. And you did. And he ends up killing both of these guys.
I'm doing the world a favor.
Yeah, maybe. Nobody likes dirty street magicians. They're like
naked ones.
Yeah, really. He's like going around naked. So you go out of that and then randomly just go several blocks away in Times Square.
It's another jump, isn't it, Jim? Completely random, as you say.
In this book?
We're in a department store, say a mall, sorry, and it's Rosalinda, whose shift started 2 hours ago. She's complaining. She's stretching her back or something.
Yep, and you have, oh man, that hobgoblin gang war nonsense. It ended up knocking over the displays. Look at me. And then you have just these girls who are going to grab and run with these, hey, let's get these clothes and shoplift. And they go running.
It's very current, isn't it, Jim? It's very 2023, 2024.
It is. You can see all these videos of this where people just go and grab everything off the rack.
It's not worth it.
Yeah, the one guy says it's not worth it. She's running. Not on my watch, she says a bunch of times. Then this is the one, like, you've set up a plan here. You've set up a way where somebody becomes in real danger, ends up then seeing a past deal with the Sentry, and then gets the power. This almost plays the opposite, but chasing down 3 girls with a bunch of clothes in their backpack does not a Sentry make, in my mind. There's no real... She's just mad that these people are stealing random things. And in terms of the Sentry, she sees a thing.
Should be like a life-threatening event, shouldn't it? Something that's like,
Like, they should... I mean, you could come up with a bunch of things. They run down the subway, Rosalinda follows them, falls on the tracks. Oh my God, I'm Sentry. No, it's just running. Get back here with those blouses, Sentry.
Drop the merchandise, ladies.
Like, not on my watch, Sentry. What is going on? This would be like me. Like, here's the next phase will be me. I'm in the book. I go downstairs and I want to make coffee. I'm like, oh no, I'm out of creamer, Sentry. That's all you need. Oh no, I burnt
spill the
dinner.
Milk, Sentry.
I burnt dinner, Sentry. I stubbed my toe, Sentry. Like everybody's Sentry now. Holy moly. And then she blasts these, like, she's there, and then, of course,
I thought she killed them, did you? She absolutely launches like an electronic attack at them or something, like a blast attack.
Ham on them.
Oh my goodness.
You have that play, and then, of course, they're like, oh my God, I think we pissed off the wrong beep. Where did she go? Like, all right, don't steal, gals. I wanted to yell as they leave. So this Rosalinda goes up, but why do you need to remember the name? Because Ryan comes, you know what's going to happen. Ryan comes and kills her, steals her powers, at least at this point, and off we go. Now, in this whole thing, you do have Misty Knight and Jessica figuring out, like, this is where it all comes, where I'm like, yeah, this book really is bull crap.
I forgot about them, Jim. Are they still in the book?
I think that this whole play, and they go, we see this street magician. They call him the Mutant Messiah. And then this department store clerk, oh my, they're in the Manhattan. She caused the blackout, which we don't even, there's barely anything that happens that you're like, oh my God, she really did. You don't, when they say it, you're like, oh yeah, I guess so. Hey, what they do, they both ended up going to the same subway station route. And I'm like, that's what we're doing here. That's what we're doing here. And I think what we're going to have is, and we've seen this in a bunch of books, but maybe we then find the old man, almost like the wizard in Shazam, the old man Bob Reynolds Sentry, who's down underground in the New York Underground, and he's like withering away and his powers are getting thrown all over. I don't know. Like this whole play that the big down moment, like you said, is I think they all went through Penn Station. Like that's it. Like so many things aren't good in this book. And then the big giant thing is I think they all take the same route on the Penn Station. All right. Thank you. So all this happens. They still don't know anything, but you get Mallory, CP Click Clock Girl. She's on the moon and decides, I got to get back. Now, her big thing has been she's very worried and upset that down on Earth, she blew up her apartment. Everybody's outdoors, might have killed people. She doesn't go check on them. Like, that's what it's set up to do.
Where does she go, Jim? The Mediterranean Sea.
She just randomly goes down to the Mediterranean Sea where You have this migrant seeking asylum in what might be a boat. You can barely tell. And she goes down to scoop this boat up to save these asylum seekers. And she's flying them. One poor guy's hanging off the side of the boat.
No one gets left behind.
Yeah, no one gets left behind. She said in the middle of it, she gets a little CP deal, but she kind of fights through it. All right. And then why? And then she puts them down on the ground. Now we're dealing with this. Well, we're not dealing with Sentry. That's kind of and when she puts them down, you get this moment like you're trying to give us this Mallory, she's worthy. She's the one, but just randomly going and grabbing the boat and putting it at the country and saying, I just hope that this land will protect you from the discrimination and poverty they're going to face in this new country. The problem with this stuff, it's signaling 1,000%, and whether that's your trigger or not. What I get from it is now it starts to make me think about politics, which I hate thinking about because I'm thinking this isn't legal. You can't just grab people and put them in there. Yeah, it's a nice thing to think would work. It doesn't. It doesn't work that way. You're causing these people probably more trouble, though. They probably would have died at sea.
This felt so forced, Jim, didn't it? So clunky. It took me right out of the story. The second part, this was what took me out of the story.
This is what happens in these comics like this. And I'll tell you right now, this is what will happen, because it happened with Tom Taylor. When he did this, he did the exact same thing with John Kent when he became Superman. You have this moment and leave it behind. Because it doesn't make sense in reality. Whether you want it to and want to think that the world could be a better place, that's fine. But it doesn't work in the reality of what's going on. And it never will. And you don't have space in this book. So it just ends up, hey, thanks a lot. Hey, all right. She flies away. These people are dead.
Just think, without these 3 pages, Jim, it wouldn't make any difference to the story, would it?
And then she turns invisible and flies away.
Ridiculous.
All right, why didn't you go back and check on that apartment you blew up where there's people that are homeless because of you? You jerk. But yeah, again, this is Jason Liu trying to say, look, this girl is really great. She's really nice. Well, you know what? I still don't know that. You're forcing it. And you already have the big bad, this piece of crap kid from Ohio. I get that anybody's going to be better than him. And I kind of knew that this girl seemed okay and but this doesn't do anything.
She seemed nice, and like you said, we said it a couple of times, but if she'd gone back to check on the apartment, that would have been perfect. That's all you had to do.
Go and check on the apartment. You want to get the signaling deal. Have it where Jessica and Misty, because they're going through files. Oh my God, the Mutant Messiah, he does street magic, and he's been on the late night show, and he's been all this. He was on America's Got Talent. Oh, what about this Mallory girl, the CP Click Clock girl? Oh, look, with her click clock, which drives me nuts saying it. She uses all the money she makes and donates it to the homeless. Boom. That's fine with me. Just throw that out. Oh, she's pretty nice. Move on. But no, she grabs this boat that will do nothing. So all this, Jessica and Misty are they've tried nothing and they're all out of ideas. They throw shade at Stark, all that, to just then make it so. Does it matter? Because you end up having this Ryan decide he's going to be Sentry and goes and introduces himself to the Avengers. So, case closed. You're going to know that it's all nonsense.
That felt so random too, didn't Jim? Just the last page, you just say, is suddenly we're somewhere outside of Dallas, Texas. We've got the Avengers in mid-battle and he turns up. Hi, mind if I cut in? It's
look at me.
Wow.
And
random.
So, I know Sentry fans in my mind, gonna like.
No
but
way.
You're also trying to play, the whole thing with the boys, with an evil superhero, even like Invincible with Omni-Man.
There was a boys spin-off called Gen V, which was the evil New Mutants almost kind of thing. So it's very
He's showing up like that, but the fun part of it would have been out of nowhere. The first issue, this Ryan shows up. Hey, Avengers! I figured you'd want me. I'm the new Sentry. Oh man, this kid's pretty cool. He seems nice, and we see that he's just playing, and we develop the idea that he's
evil
get the
backstory.
As we go. And even if you want to play the idea that he stole powers by killing people, show that as we go forward.
That's right.
Misty Knight and Jessica Jones think, wait a second, this guy doesn't seem like on the up and up. Let's investigate on the side, and they start to uncover the idea that he isn't good, But no, he's bad. So it's done in such a convoluted, ridiculous way. Added
heavy-handed, very
and
heavy-handed.
Just, hey, here's Rosalinda. I'd love it like a year from now. I'm like, hey, remember Rosalinda was a Sentry for like a minute? Remember her? She was pretty cool. It's bad. The art's okay. It's like standard deal. It's not bad. It's standard, but it's just, I don't know. There's no focus. The concept of this might have been a cool idea, but it's not transferring to the page, and it's a wreck from all angles. So what would you give this?
Like you said, the art's not too bad. It's some of the poses are a bit weird, a little bit statuesque at times. It's colourful, but there's just too much going on. It's very, very random. The messaging is very heavy. It just feels forced. So I'm going to give this a 4, Jim.
Yeah, I'm a 3. And you said the messaging is so heavy-handed, but really what it isn't, it's not a Sentry book. And yeah, it can get to that, but is it going to be too late?